The NBA is back. It's about time. 1 week off for the All-Star break, and it feels like it's been like 3 months. But welcome, guys. My name is DK, and in this video, we're breaking down the 10-game NBA Daily Fantasy Sports main slate on Draftkings. I also make content for player prop sites like Prize Picks, Underdog, and Parlay Play. I'm going to get a Prize Picks video up after this, so make sure to check that one out. And the sponsor of the video, that's going to be BetMGM. Guys, BetMGM is currently running a great offer right now. Bet $5 and get $150 instantly in bonus bets. You just have to be a new customer. So click the link down below and deposit. If you do, it does really help support the channel. And you do have to be 21 plus. And if you do have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. But yeah, I always say in these videos, get on many of these sports books, DFS sites as possible, and then you can search for the best value when you are placing your prop bets or your straight bets, whatever it is. And if you guys are looking for more content, as always, you can check my Patreon link down below. But yeah, guys, like I said, it felt like this break has felt like so long. I turned 30 the other day, so feeling a little bit washed up. But ready to get back to the NBA DFS grind. Like, it just like, outside of this weekend I went on a ski trip. Outside of that, like, I've just been like, what am I supposed to do? I'm just like, in the last couple of days, I'm like, I need NBA back now. So it's great that it is back. And yeah, let's talk about this slate. So we'll start off with Brooklyn, Toronto. For Brooklyn, no one on the injury report. I don't think anyone really stands out here for Brooklyn. Point per dollar. You got Bridges at 7.3, Cam Thomas at 7.2. These are the two guys with the highest ceiling. In competitive games, they should play mid-30s minutes. Now, they do have a new coach now, so it'll be interesting to see if they changed up their rotation at all. Ben Simmons has been starting. He's been on a limit. It'll be interesting to see if that limit gets bumped up, because if it does at 5.6K, I think he would stand out as a pretty good point per dollar play. It's not great that he only has point guard eligibility, but if we get news that he's bumped up to like 27, 28 minutes, I think he's going to stand out as probably the best point per dollar play there on the Nets. You got Claxton, 6'9", kind of indifferent on him. Cam Johnson came off the bench last game. Be interesting to see if he moves back into the starting lineup. You're going to get some Schroeder and Dennis Smith Jr. playing off the bench. They seem priced about right. Dorian Finney-Smith back in the rotation. It'll be interesting to see if Cam Johnson moves back in the starting lineup over him. Jalen Wilson's been seeing some rotation minutes. This Nets bench rotation is kind of tough to figure out right now. So I don't feel great about a lot of these value pieces. Like Day'Ron Sharpe probably plays a little bit of the backup five. He played, 13 minutes last time out. Talk about Toronto. So Toronto also fully healthy. 8.8K for Scotty Barnes. He is the guy with the highest floor plus ceiling on this team. In a competitive game, you should see high 30s minutes from him. 3 of the last 4 games, 46, 60, and 58 fancy points. So does have a pretty high ceiling. It's actually him and RJ Barrett right now leading the team in usage. Barrett, reasonable price point, nice eligibility. He should continue to play mid-30s minutes in competitive games, 34, 33, and 36 minutes in 3 of the last 4 games. You got Quickly at 6'8". It's been a little bit up and down. He started really strong when he came to Toronto. It's cooled off a little bit, but still playing good minutes. Still the guy with a pretty high ceiling. He's a good contrarian play. Olynyk will be available. He got a little bit banged up last time. But yeah, he isn't on the injury report, so right now, he's going to back up Jakob Poeltl and basically split the center position there. And at 4.7, I think I do prefer Olynyk to Poeltl. Now, Poeltl got a minutes bump last game because Olynyk got injured. That's why I played 30 minutes. But with Olynyk back, I just think he stands as a pretty good value play. And then, yeah, Bruce Brown, Gary Trent, both reasonable values at 4.4 and 4K respectively. Detroit and Indiana. So Detroit, Stewart and Grimes in the injury report. Stewart questionable, Grimes doubtful. Cade Cunningham is probable, so expect him to play. Pistons have been blown out last couple games, but usually in competitive games, they are giving their main 3 guys good minutes, that being Cade, Duren, and Ivy. In their most recent game where they got destroyed, they actually played 12 guys in the first half, which is not ideal. Fontecchio started the last couple games, 4.5K. He's been playing mid-20s minutes. Asur Thompson is 5K. He is a guy that can stuff a stat sheet, and if he can avoid foul trouble, I think he's a decent point per dollar play. I don't know if I get to anyone off the bench. I mean, I'm going to mention Evan Fournier at 3.4, 25 and 26 minutes over the last couple games. Now, he's kind of washed at this point in his career, but he played a good amount there in the first half last game. So I don't hate Fournier for value. I just don't know if they want to continue to give him that amount of run, right? Let's talk about the Pacers. So the Pacers, Naismith is out. Jalen Smith, I believe, is questionable. Now, you got Halliburton at 9.4. I don't believe he's going to be on a minutes limit anymore. 34 minutes back-to-back games. I assume he's close to full go. And this is a nice price point for a guy that, should play good minutes in a great matchup. So I do like Tyrese Halliburton. I wanted to mention Siakam. He's been playing a lot more recently, mid-30s minutes in competitive games. I think I prefer Halliburton to Siakam, point per dollar. You got Miles Turner at 6'5". His minutes can fluctuate, but 31 minutes in back-to-back games is good to see. So I do like his upside in tournaments. If Jalen Smith doesn't play, you should get Isaiah Jackson playing the backup 5, but $5K, that's way too expensive. He played 32 minutes last time because that was when Miles Turner was out. Without Naismith, no one specifically benefits, but a few guys probably see a little more run, maybe a little more run from Mathurin, who's playable in tournaments. Nemhard will be top, and those guys probably see a slight minutes bump. New York and Philly, so you got Randall and OG still out. DiVincenzo, Hartenstein, and Bogdanovic are all expected to play. I think the Knicks are going to continue to run like an 8 to 9 man rotation. Brunson at the top at 9.3. I still like him. I mean, he has an insane usage rate over these last 5 games, a very high assist percentage as well, and he's playing like close to 40 minutes in competitive games. So even at 9.3, I do like Brunson. DiVincenzo, I think, is a bit too pricey. Same with Achua with Hartenstein back. Now, Hartenstein himself, sub 7K, assuming no limitations. I think he's a good play. If he's going to be limited, then we can't go to him. So keep an eye on the news there. I think Hart's a bit too expensive, but Bogdanovic, Burks both feel priced about right. But yeah, the positive with the Knicks is, again, they're going to run a tight rotation still. For Philly, you got no Embiid. Melton actually got ruled out as well. I thought he could play because he went through a full practice, but he is, in fact, out, and Nick Batum is questionable. Now, Maxey has a 32% usage rate with Joel Embiid off the court. He's been a little bit up and down, but in competitive games, he's playing huge minutes, like close to 40 minutes a night. This game, too, I believe he went to the locker room for a little bit. He did, if I remember correctly, because I played him, and I was a little bit tilted about it. But, yeah, I like the upside a lot in Maxey for tournaments. Tobias Harris at 7.9 feels priced about right. Buddy Hield's also been playing very well. 6.7K in a competitive game. I think we're probably going to get high 30s minutes from Buddy Hield, so he's reasonable. Same with Kelly Oubre. Again, these guys all look a little bit better with Melton out, and they would look better if Batum is out. We got to mention Kyle Lowry. He's also going to be available. I expect him to play the backup point guard position, probably play around 20 minutes. So he's like a reasonable play there at 4.5K. And then, yeah, Paul Reed at 5.9K. His minutes have, been a little bit up and down, but there's been games where he's played 30-plus minutes. And when he does, he usually can smash. Like last game, he played 39 minutes for 40 fancy points. So like the upside there on Paul Reed for GPPs. Orlando, so you got Markelle Fultz is out. Looks like Suggs will be available. Paolo, he continues to lead the team in potential assist. He's averaging 7 assists a game over the last 5 games or something. He's playing big minutes. Now, I don't necessarily love the matchup for him, but I think he's firmly in place to the price point. Franz has been the number 2, kind of indifferent on him. Wendell Carter Jr. is sub 5K. His minutes have been a little bit up and down, but in games where he plays close to 30 minutes, he could be a good value. It's just that, at times they're going to go with, some Wagner. We've seen Gogo play recently, so there is no minute security really there for Carter Jr. I think without Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs look a little bit better. 4 or 5 for Jalen Suggs, 4.1K for Cole Anthony. I think they're decent value plays for sure. And then Jonathan Isaac, 3.5, his minutes have been a little bit up and down, but he's not a bad point per minute guy, and at times they can play him at the small ball 5, so I wanted to mention him as a viable punt play. Cleveland, you got Mitchell, late add to the injury report, questionable with an illness. Keep an eye on it. Mobley and Garland no longer on a minutes restriction. So they are full go. So those are the 2 guys that stand out to me, at least. 6.7K for Mobley, no longer on a limit. We probably see mid-30s minutes for both Mobley and Garland. Sub 6K for Darius Garland. I like both those guys either way. They're obviously going to look way better if Donovan Mitchell does not play. If Mitchell sits, you're going to get more on for guys like Strus and LeVert and Okoro. I think LeVert would be the next guy up for me if Donovan Mitchell does not play, so we'll keep an eye on that news. Phoenix and Dallas. Phoenix, Brad Beal injured his hamstring, but looks like he will be available from what I've seen. KD 10K, Booker 9.8, Beal 7.1. Assuming no limitations, I think Beal would be my preferred point per dollar play. But again, we'll keep an eye on the news there. If he misses, obviously the other 2 look a little bit better. And then you get more on for guys like Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen. Royce O'Neal's also benefited with minutes when with Beal off the court last couple games, 30 and 24 minutes. So he'd be another potential value there if Beal can't go. My bird Nurkic at 6.6K, always in play for tournaments. The minutes have not been amazing on him. He's averaging mid to high 20s minutes. There are times we would play more, but right now that price feels about right. Let's talk about Dallas. Exum not expected to play. We'll keep an eye on the stats of Maxi Kleba. The center position was split with Gafford and Lively last game. 6K for Gafford. He played 23 minutes. Lively at 5K. He came off the bench, played 17 minutes. Neither really stand out at their respective price points. PJ Washington played a good amount there in the first half. Only 28 minutes total, but that game was a blowout. He would have played more. 5.2K, I think he's an okay point per dollar play. And then obviously I have interest in both Luka and Kyrie. These are the 2 guys who are going to lead the way offensively. Luka has had some huge games against the Suns in the past, so always have interest in him. And let's talk about the Clippers and the Thunders. The Clippers look like they are fully healthy. Zubac was on a minutes restriction going into the All-Star break, but I think he'll be full go now. 5.4K. I think he actually does stand out as a pretty good value play here. We know Zubac is about a fantasy point per minute player. Assuming he's not on the limit, he should play high 20s minutes. So I think he looks pretty good. When this team is fully healthy, it is always kind of hard to pick between Harden, Kawhi, and Paul George. I don't think Paul George should be any sort of a limit either. He's played 30-plus minutes now in 4 of the last 5 games. But yeah, Harden, Kawhi, Paul George, all viable. Norman Powell, kind of indifferent on him at 4-6. And then Westbrook, the minutes are kind of all over the place on him. He played a little bit. The minutes have ticked up a little bit, but I think it was Kawhi that was out in their most recent game, if I remember correctly. If you're into a revenge game narrative against Oklahoma City, sure, maybe he does see a few extra minutes. For the Thunder, Gordon Hayward going to be available. Now, I expect him to come off the bench and be limited, so I can't play him unless we get news that he's full go, but I would be shocked if he is. SGA at 10.5, always a guy with a pretty high floor plus ceiling, but super consistent, should play big minutes. Yeah, he looks pretty good. You got Chet and Jalen Williams, both reasonable at their respective price points. I think I prefer Jalen Williams slightly. His minutes have been up. He also has a pretty high usage rate of late, been the clear number 2 offensively. He has some big games, 20-plus points now in 4 of the last 5 games. I don't really think I can get to any of the value, though, for Oklahoma City. All right, Boston and Chicago. So Porzingis, Horford, I expect both to play. Porzingis had banged up last game, but he said he could have returned if the game wasn't a massive blowout, and I do think Horford plays too. When this team is fully healthy, they always are tough to prioritize, but guys like Tatum, Porzingis, and Brown are still playable. If someone ends up sitting here for Boston, then the other starters look a little bit better, but yeah, on a big slate, assuming everyone's good to go, no standouts there for me. For Chicago, no Pat Williams, no Torrey Craig. I want to mention, against big teams, the Bulls will start on to Drummond. Now, I don't think they're going to against Boston, but he started against Cleveland. I believe he started against Minnesota too, so just keep an eye on that for the future. Whenever Chicago plays a big team, I think there's a good chance that Andre Drummond will start it. And when Drummond starts, he is a smash play, but again, I don't expect him to start here. Kobe White, DeRozan, and Vooch, all in the high 7K range, all look like solid options. DeRozan with Levine off the court, DeRozan leads the team with usage and in assist percentage. Caruso and Ayo indifferent in their price points, but the good thing about the Bulls is they're running a tight rotation. They're playing the main guys big minutes. Houston, New Orleans, Tari Eason is out. You do have Van Fleet back. Now keep an eye on the news for Van Fleet. He's been out for a few weeks, so I think he could be on some sort of a limit. You got Şengün, 8.6K. It's been a little bit quiet of late, but still playing good minutes. In competitive games, he usually play low to mid 30s minutes. So I think he's an interesting contrarian option. Jalen Green's minutes been up and down. I think he's too expensive. Can't get to Thompson off the bench. Jabari Smith feels priced right. Same with Brooks. So there's not a lot of standout plays here because this team has been relatively shorthanded. Now you do have a couple guys back. New Orleans, the big news obviously is Brandon Ingram. If Ingram sits and Zion and CJ get a significant usage bump, they would both look like really good plays. I think I would lean Zion over CJ if I had to pick if Ingram does not play. 7-8 for Zion, 35, 34, 35 minutes in 3 of the last 4 games. So the minutes have ticked up. And he's sub 8K. Either way, I think Zion looks good, but he looks way better if Ingram sits. Jonas Valanciunas right now splitting the center position with Larry Nance. I think I prefer Nance point per dollar at 3.9 to JV at 6.4. And then those other wings will look a little bit better too if Ingram can't play guys like Murphy and Herb Jones, little Najee Marshall as well. Charlotte and Utah. So Mark Williams out. I think LaMelo has a chance to play in this game, but I haven't seen confirmation yet. We'll keep an eye on that news, but they did send Nick Smith Jr. to the G League, so I think there's a decent chance LaMelo will be available. And I do expect if he's available to be on some sort of a limit. He hasn't played since January, so we'll keep an eye on that. If LaMelo sits, then there are some good options here. Trey Mann would probably be the first guy I'd look to. 5.5K, he's averaging about 30 minutes a game. He's leading the team in a potential assist for the last 3 games. And yeah, he has a pretty high floor plus ceiling. So Mann would be the standout to me if LaMelo sits. But then there would be some decent options as well. Grant Williams actually second in the team in usage over the last 3 games. He's been playing well, 4.5K. He's playing some backup 5. Bridges and Miller, obviously, they're going to play huge minutes. They look decent. Misic right now is playing the backup point, 3.9K. He's averaging about 20 minutes a game. He's a decent point per dollar value. So the Charlotte Hornets have been running a very tight rotation of late. So if LaMelo's out, there's actually a good amount to like here. If LaMelo's in, I don't think I can get to Bridges. I don't think I can get to Miller. We'll see if Mann stays in the starting lineup or if they, I think Mann will with how he's played. I think they'll boot Martin and move him to the bench if LaMelo does play. So yeah, big news there. Utah, they're fully healthy. And one thing to note, my boy Keontae George had a huge game last game and played 41 minutes in regulation. 4.7K. I think he's going to be one of the most popular values in the slate, but I think he looks great. Minutes have ticked up of late. Again, 41 minutes we can't expect, but I think we can expect around low 30s minutes for him or so. Great matchup. So I really like Keontae George. Walker Kessler's 5.1K. He's been averaging mid-20s minutes since moving into the starting lineup. I think he's a pretty good point per dollar play. Markkanen is a guy that usually plays the most minutes on the team. I like his upside in tournaments. You got Sexton and Clarkson. Their minutes can fluctuate a little bit. But again, they basically ran like an 8-man rotation last game. So if they run that same rotation, there's a lot to like here from the Jazz. John Collins, he's playing some 5. He's averaging about 30 minutes a game. So Chris Dunn, even at 3.8K, he played 21 minutes on the bench. There's a good amount to like here from Utah, especially if they run that same rotation. Basically 8 guys. THT only played 5 minutes. So yeah, that's a positive. Utah's going to run that same rotation again. Finally, Washington at Denver. So definitely some blowout risk in this game. Kuzma missed the last game with an illness, but I expect him to play. Denny's been playing extremely well, but the price is way up on him. He had a 70-pound last game, which is just insane. But again, Kuzma being back definitely hurts Denny. You want to continue to ride that hot streak with Denny, be my guest, but I don't think he stands out point per dollar. The potential assists are way up in Tyus Jones as well. Basically, these main guys I think are playable. Like the main 5 thing are playable for tournaments if you think Washington keep it competitive. Kuzma, Denny, Tyus, Poole, and Bagley. And finally, Denver looks like they are fully healthy. Like the ceiling on Jokic, like the ceiling on Murray, but there's some blowout risk obviously going up against Washington. Nothing else really standing out with the secondary plays like MPJ, Gordon, KCP, guys like that. All right, so that's going to wrap up the video, guys. As always, if you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Like I said, it's great that the NBA is back, and I'll see you all in the next video.